Now, location matters a lot in the aspect of one's life. Like in everything we have to do, or rather in everything you do in life, there are so many things you put into consideration for your success, for your growth, be it your personal growth, your marital growth, your family, and all of that. There are so many things you have to put into consideration. And I think location is one of them. It's a very, very vital factor for you to consider when you are relocating to a certain place, or when you are thinking of pitching your tent in a particular place, or when you are thinking of settling down. Always consider where you want to relocate or move to. Now, if you're thinking of coming to the UK, or you're already in the UK, and you're of the school of thought that places like London, is very expensive, like the big cities are expensive, so you decide, okay, let me just move to one of the smaller towns and just stay there and patch up my life. I would prefer it. Well, yeah, when you say expensive, it varies. It all depends on what you are looking at. It all depends on what you are really out for in the very place where you decide to reside, because there's so many factors, like I said, that connects to this issue of relocation, or pitching your tent in a particular place. Now, a friend of mine, she's been in UK for quite a while. She came into the UK about 2 years now, and the plan was that after a while her husband was going to join her here, because she's married but her husband is still back in Saudi Arabia. They used to live in Saudi Arabia, but she got the visa first and decided to move down here, and then the husband is going to join her after a while. So while she moved down here, she decided to stay. She got a place somewhere outside of London, really far from London, and she's been there for a while. And actually, initially when she moved in there, she got a job as a healthcare assistant, and she's been working, but she doesn't really like the job, so she decided she was going to quit and get something else to do. So ever since she quit her job and she's been looking for other jobs, it's been from one rejection to the other. Like, she's not just getting anything at all. She keeps applying, but it's not working, it's not forthcoming. And funny enough, one thing I have also come to understand, is that most of the jobs that are common with all of these towns and cities that are outside of London, and outside of the cities, the big cities, most of the most common jobs, they are healthcare assistant jobs and warehouse. They are the very most common jobs there that are kind of openly and readily available for every and anyone. So when she left her care job, she decided to go into something different, something entirely different than care. She has looked for job in the shops, retail. She has looked for jobs in school term stuffs. In fact, she has tried her hands everywhere. Nothing is just working. And at some point, she was like, but these adverts keep popping up online. These adverts keep popping up on Indeed and these job search sites, that these are there are vacancies that are waiting for people to fill them. But where is it that whenever she applies for these jobs, they don't get back to her. Sometimes they don't get back to her. Sometimes when they get back to her, they will tell her, sorry, we cannot move your application to the next level. We are very sorry about that. We wish you all the best, blah, 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 blah. She has tried severally. So one of these days, she decided to apply for a catering assistant in a care home. It's a care home. It's still under the healthcare sector. But she wanted to work in the kitchen, catering assistant. Because at this point here, she was tired of looking for jobs. So she was like, no, whatever. Let me just go with whatever that comes now. So she applied for this care home catering assistant job. And mind you, according to her, this is a new care home. It's a care home that was just set up. So they were actually in need of people at this point. So after applying with the hope that she was going to get this job, unfortunately for her, they wrote back to her saying that they are sorry, they cannot push her application to the next level as a kitchen assistant. But if she would like to work as a care assistant, as a healthcare assistant, that there's so many jobs open. And she was like, wait a minute, why would they why would they tell her what to do or where to work, or why would they like suggest to her? Like, she thought that particular role was open. So if it's still open, if the vacancy is there, why would you not take me for that one? Instead, you're pushing me to the next available one. So she decided to just ignore that message. She was still looking for jobs anyway. So one particular day, she went back online, went back straight, back to Indeed, and she was still job hunting. And she still saw that this particular care home was still recruiting, as in the vacancy, that particular role she applied for as a kitchen assistant in this care home was still open. And in fact, it was just updated about 14 hours ago, 14 hours ago, before she just went online. So it was freshly, or rather newly updated, which meant they were still looking for people to fill that position. In other words, that particular role was still vacant. So she reapplied for that particular role, the kitchen assistant one, again, and waited for their response. And this time they responded again, saying that they're very sorry, they can't push her application to the next level, but if she wants to apply for it. And then she lost it, and she was like, really, are you kidding me? Like, why would you? She didn't understand. The role is there, the vacancy is still there. You need someone to fill it up. I'm offering myself now to fill it up. You're saying that the role is, as you can't take it to the next level. But every 2 days, you keep refreshing that, role, that job vacancy. You keep looking for people to fill it up. Meanwhile, you are pushing her to go and do care. And she's not interested in care anymore. She said she does not want to do care. Then now the one she's interested in, you're not giving it to her. So at that point, she started thinking there was something about that it had to do with discrimination. In fact, that was how she said. She said at that point, she just felt it had to do with discrimination. She felt they were just deliberately trying to push her to do care, and like keeping that particular role for some other people that might not want to do care. And I saw reasons from where she was coming from, because I experienced something close to that many years back. So it was not very strange to me what she was saying. And this whole thing got her so discouraged, because there were so many other jobs that she tried before now that she was not just getting any positive response for. And these jobs I'm talking about were not even jobs that, it's not like they're not even like high paying jobs like that, or there is not like they were like, I don't know, they were not jobs that had like big titles or whatever, like they were not like, or they were not even graduate jobs, because she's a graduate. They were not graduate jobs. She just wanted anything just to keep her going until her husband comes. Then they will move, or they will now decide the next step in their life. So but right now, all she wanted was just any job she would do, just to be able to pay her rent, pay her bills, put food on the table, all of that. But even applying for jobs as little as kitchen assistant in schools, she wasn't getting anything. She even applied as a teaching assistant in schools, and she was not getting any response. Like, that was when she just felt like, no, there's something wrong. And she got really, really discouraged. She has tried retail. What has she not tried anyway? So at some point, she now discovered that most of the people she has met, and most of her friends that live around her there, they were all into one particular field. That was just care. That was just the care industry. Everybody was just care. Anybody she comes across, what are you doing? Where do you work? Care. The guys, where do you work? Security or warehouse. It ended there. Like, there was nothing much, and there was nothing new people were really doing other than that. So she went to London to visit her family. On getting to London, someone told her, why don't you just apply? There's this place that is actually recruiting at the moment. And she was very, very, very hesitant about it because she has gotten a lot of disappointments, a lot of rejections in the aspect of this job search in the past. So she didn't want to get another no. But anyway, she went ahead and applied for a job that someone sent her a link on Indeed. It's not like the person knows anybody that works there. They just said, oh, there's a job opening somewhere, go on Indeed and look for this job. And she went on there, applied, and then she went back to her base outside of London. Surprisingly, fortunately for her, after a few days they wrote back to her and they fixed interview for her, and the only problem she had was that this time around this job is in London, meanwhile she stays outside of London. So at this time she was now a bit confused because she didn't know how she was going to do this job. Then the only bet she had, the best bet she had was just to relocate to London. She immediately packed her things and ran to London. She went to London, rented a one room there, and got her job. She's still working. Now, why I'm saying this is because she called me recently and said, Adora, I have never been this happy. I have never been this relaxed since I came to the UK. I have never been this happy with my job. Like, you know, there's some kind of jobs that when you are doing, when you are working, you are excited. You want to go to work every day. You want to wake up and leave the house. You want to wake up and go and see your colleagues. You just want to go to work. You just want to go to work. They're just, the excitement of your job is there. It's something you want to do all the time. And there's some jobs that when you're working, like it's like punishment. You just feel like you are being punished to do that job, even though you are being paid. At the end of the day, you're not even enjoying the fruit of the labor of that job. That's what it is. So she moved to London and she's very happy. And she was shocked at the kind of job she got in London. She was really shocked. She said that never in her entire world would she have gotten that same job outside London, and it is very true. She would never have gotten that job outside London. So what am I saying? Now, this is my own personal opinion. It might be an unpopular one, but it's my opinion. If you are thinking of coming to the UK, if you live in the UK, maybe you live in many of the parts of that is outside of London, or maybe that is too really far, very far away from London or whatever. If you cannot afford to live in London, because at the same time, in as much as we want good jobs, there are varieties of jobs in London, opportunities abound there and all of that. If you cannot afford to live in London, you can consider places like Manchester. Manchester is like second London. It's a city, it's still a big city, but it is much more affordable. You can consider places like Birmingham. These are places that there are much more varieties of jobs than any other place. Because at the end of the day, in as much as you're coming to the UK, okay, coming to look for greener pastures, you're coming to, maybe you think you're coming to live a good life, or you think you're coming to make money or to work or whatever, you still want to consider so many things. You would not leave your country home or wherever you're coming from, you're hijacking yourself from, and then come to a place where you can't get a job, or you can't get a proper or good, well-paying job at least. Nobody's saying you're going to be paid millions, but at least let it be reasonably paid in a way that, you know, it can cover up a lot of things. Because this is a place where the cost of, you know, living is extremely high. There's so many things to pay. A lot of people are paying through their nose just to survive, and then you now go and find yourself in one corner of just one corner where there is no job, or there is little to no jobs, and you have to just take it because you want to make ends meet. And sometimes it's not even about just the money. Sometimes it's about it's about your state of mind in that place you are staying. Are you really happy? There are a lot of people I know that live outside of London that are not just happy with where they are, but they have no choice because they think, okay, well, life is cheaper here. There are cheaper houses, the rent is cheaper. Maybe some things they'll like give you a list of things they think is more affordable to get there. But personally, I think living in London is not expensive. It all depends on your personal preference. You should learn to cut your coat according to your size. If you are living alone, if you are a single person, why not go for a one-room apartment? Highest, if you want your privacy, then just go for a one-room self-contained, you know, one room and your sitting room and your kitchen and everything together. That is at most. Don't go renting a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom when you live alone. You know, these are little things you can do to make life as easy as possible. Secondly, the job availability in London, honestly, it varies. The opportunities there abound, that when you encounter some of these opportunities there, honestly, living outside London would just be like, you wouldn't want to try it. I know a lot of people who live in London who have sworn with their lives that nothing will make them relocate outside London. And this, what I'm talking about in London, is not like, I don't know how to explain it. They don't want to have anything to do with outside London, and they are for different reasons. I have a friend, she's from Albania. She lives in London. The first day, so that was like many years, I think about 6 years ago. The first day she came to visit me somewhere when I was living, like I used to live in Halifax in West Yorkshire. The first day she came to visit me then, the first thing she said is, how do you survive here? How do you cope here? Like, she can't live elsewhere apart from London, because right there in London the opportunities are many. Then she was working in the train station. She was working in Houston train station or so. She had a good job, but outside of London, it is very, 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 very possible that she won't get that kind of job there. Probably she would have been maybe working in a care home or in a warehouse, you know. But she had a fantastic job in London, and she said she would never try it. It will surprise you to know that in London, a lot of people just squash themselves up in 1 room, 2 rooms. They just manage their life, but they are happy with the way they live. They are happy with the kind of jobs they have. They are happy with the availability of everything around them. They are happy. There are so many things that keeps them happy there. Is it the availability of jobs? Is it the transport system? These are another thing to really consider. Transport system in most places outside London is hell. It is a nightmare, especially if you do not drive. Consider some places where you have to wait for 30 minutes interval before you get your bus rides or whatever. There are some cities where the trains don't even work, like the intercity train stations are not working. You have to rely on buses. I beg, London is still top notch. After London, Manchester and Birmingham, there's no other place I think I can really quantify. Yeah, maybe Leeds follows. Yeah, apart from these 4 places, honestly. So if you're thinking of relocating, always make your research. Yeah, I understand quite all right that most people want to live as an affordable life as much as possible, so they look for cities or towns that they think they are cheaper. The house rents are cheaper, mortgages are cheaper, you know, where they can actually rent a whole 3-bedroom house for the same amount of money they can use to get a 1 or 2 bedroom in big cities like London. I understand all that, but on the other hand, there are pros and cons of living in these places outside London. There are pros and cons of also living in London. If you're going outside London because of the cheap availability of houses, you know, the cheap cost of renting over there, don't forget that there are other things you have to pay through your nose to get. Don't forget that you might have to suffer to get around transport wise, especially if you're not driving. Like, it's gonna cost you a lot on taxis and all of that. Don't forget also that you might not get the kind of jobs you really want. Then you might just have to stick with whatever they have to offer you over where you are. There are a lot of things you really need to put into consideration. That's why I keep saying, before you relocate, think exactly of where you want to go, because honestly, there's no point relocating to a place where you go there and you end up in one corner of the town or the city, and you're just merely existing because you're not really living as happily as you would have wanted, or you're not getting exactly what you want. That's why I see a lot of people, when they come to UK, they decide to remain in London, and I don't blame them, because they say he who wears the shoe knows where it pinches him. Okay, so most of the time when you see people outside London that have good jobs, maybe like doctors, surgeons, dentists, that have good jobs, you know, like that, you know that maybe the only reason why they have those, they are actually employed to work there, is because these are jobs that are in high demand. These are jobs that are really in, they know, they have serious recruitment problems. They are in high demand, they are needed, they are sought after. So if, for instance, now a hospital or a GP practice needs a doctor, or needs maybe, for example, they need a dentist or whatever, they are not going to go and they won't start discriminating against you, because they know that they need you. You are like gold to them. So no matter what happens, they will just take you. But if it is not any of these jobs that are like really in high demand in those areas, and you just come, no, I think you won't be a priority. That's just the word. You will not be a priority. So the best bet, if you don't fit into any of these categories of maybe high paying jobs, and you think that maybe when you live outside of London, you're going to get a very fantastic job, I really doubt it. I really doubt it. That's why a lot of people decide to stick in London, or rather stick to their London, because there you get you have the varieties to choose the kind of jobs you want. There are jobs there. And when I mean there are jobs, I mean it's open to everyone. That's why a lot of people decide to stay there and work their way out, work their way to the top, work their way to their opportunities.